Tonight,
I was expecting it. I knew it was coming.
sticker shock in Lakeshore with residents fighting a $400 fee. Firefight in Chatham.
This is the first I've heard of it, and the first residents of the city have heard of it.
Residents sounding the alarm over plans for a temporary fire hall down the street. And rock recognition. The hometown heroes honored after 35 years of hits.
We're Windsor boys at heart.
CTV News with Stephanie Mazzotti.
We have breaking news for you tonight. After weeks of uncertainty, the Gordie Howe International Bridge could finally be ready to open. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Travis Fortnum. Stephanie is off tonight. The Associated Press, citing two sources involved in negotiations, reporting U.S. and Canadian officials have reached an agreement that clears the way for the long-delayed crossing to open by the end of July. Commercial traffic is expected to flow before August 1st. As well, Michigan Republican Senate candidate Mike Rogers posting on social media this afternoon. He's spoken with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, claiming the bridge will open soon under a new agreement designed to prevent Chinese-made vehicles from crossing into Michigan. Rogers says the deal will also provide what he calls a better financial arrangement for the United States. Neither government has officially announced a deal yet. A ribbon-cutting ceremony scheduled for early June was postponed after the bridge authority said more time was needed to resolve, quote, outstanding issues. The delay followed President Donald Trump's earlier threats to block the bridge's opening. Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkens was not available for comment, but did send us this quote. I've been clear from the start that the Gordie Howe International Bridge needs to open for the good of both nations. As a result of the continuous twists and turns over the last 2 decades and all recent developments, I will wait until both governments have officially announced the opening of the bridge before weighing in further. Windsor police have arrested a 43-year-old man following a sexual assault investigation involving a 17-year-old girl. Investigators say during the early morning hours on July 1st, a man led the 17-year-old behind a business in the 400 block of Pitt Street West and sexually assaulted her. Robert James Scott is facing charges. Police are asking anyone with information to contact the Child Abuse and Sexual Assault Unit or Crime Stoppers. An impaired driving arrest in Windsor quickly turned into a gun bust. Police say they found a man passed out behind the wheel on Walker Road at 3:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday. Officers say they discovered open alcohol, signs of drug use, and a loaded handgun inside the vehicle. A 30-year-old LaSalle man now faces several charges, including impaired driving and firearms offenses. A Hamilton man in jail in Windsor will have to wait another month to be sentenced for drug trafficking. Harpreet Singh pleaded guilty last January to drug possession charges. He was caught in August 2022 with 28 bricks or 30 kilograms of cocaine hidden in his duffel bag inside a transport truck. In Superior Court this week, his new lawyer asked for an adjournment so he had time to speak with his client before proceeding with sentencing submissions. The federal drug prosecutor opposed the delay, arguing Canadians are also entitled to timely sentencing under the criminal code, and the deadline for that expired 5 months ago. Justice Horvat, however, granted the delay and will now hear sentencing arguments at the end of August. In other news, a wave of frustration is hitting some Lakeshore residents after opening their latest tax bill. While many expected increases, some say one particular line item is standing out. A $400 charge they say they weren't expecting. Bob Belichico joins us now.
Well, Travis, some Lakeshore residents are wondering why they are paying a fee for a service they didn't sign up for, had no say in, and aren't even using. I spoke with Essex Mayor Sherry Bondi, who is expecting a similar pushback when taxes are mailed out next week.
No, it doesn't bother me. I was expecting it. I knew it was coming.
Not everyone feels like Pat Levac. The Lakeshore tax bill has arrived. Mayor Tracy Bailey took to Facebook to help residents understand the green bin fee, but not everyone was embracing the explanation. One commenter saying the green bin program should have been optional. Another pointing out they've been composting for years. Levac has been using the green bin and is expecting the municipality to lower taxes on garbage pickup in the next couple of years.
They are thinking of changing it to weekly to bi-weekly. And right now, with the green bin and the blue bin, I don't have regular garbage for at least a month. It's all progress, and they're just trying to do better for the society and the environment.
Marianne Beaulieu was in town visiting from Essex and says she recycles.
If you're going to be taxed for it, why wouldn't you use it then? Why would you not want to use it? It's collecting all your excess waste.
Essex Mayor Sherry Bondi has seen the backlash and is getting in front of it. The town has put together a report outlining the tax increase resulting from the green bin fee with answers to anticipated questions.
It's not a local program. This is a program that the provincial government is asking, mandating municipalities to get involved in.
Bondi explains the decision to enter the program was made by the former Essex County Council 4 years ago. She understands there are people in the county who compost and feels that is the way to go, but the green bin program is here.
My advice now to residents is let's start rowing in the same direction, because if we fight it, if we don't use it, then we're not only going to have to pay for the green bin program, we're going to have to pay for a new landfill.
According to members of municipal government, the topic of the green bin program in rural areas was discussed before being enacted.
I kind of believe that a lot of county residents aren't using it as much as the city of Windsor. There's a lot of us saying that we're actually subsidizing it.
Now, Bonnie would like to see more data collection on the green bin program to help better serve residents. Now, she'd like that information on usage and tonnage to be available for the next council to help guide them in their future decisions regarding the program. Travis?
Thank you, Bob. And that is our question of the day. Do you agree with how your tax dollars are spent? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday, we asked if you make an effort to buy gas before prices go up. Out of about 600 responses, 56% say no. And CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald is here with our first look at the forecast tonight. Gary.
Travis, good evening. Good evening, folks. We're talking about scattered showers, the risk of seeing thunderstorms lessening as the disturbance slides further south and to the east. South of Lake Ontario and Lake Erie's good sign for us. By 9 o'clock, I think that threat of thunderstorms has diminished greatly because we are in a cooling stage and there isn't as much instability as there was in the atmosphere earlier today. Through the overnight, I still think relatively quiet, still warm, but tomorrow afternoon, daytime heating could lead to another round of isolated thunder showers. I'll break down what you need to know as we look ahead to a sunny Sunday. I promise you that. And beyond, it's coming up shortly. For now, I'll send it back to you at the desk.
All right, thank you, Gary. Meantime, a proposal that will help shape the future of several municipal buildings in Chatham, Kent is already generating discussion ahead of Monday night's council meeting. One part of the report identifies a preferred location for a new fire station to replace the one that's currently connected to the Civic Center. But not everyone agrees it's the right fit. CTV's Chris Campbell joins us now with more. Chris.
Yes, Travis. While the report before council covers everything from the future of the Civic Center to plans for a new community safety center, much of the attention is expected to focus on where Chatham's Fire Station number 1 could eventually be relocated. Administration has identified the former St. Ursula School property on LaCroix Street as its preferred site, but some are already questioning whether a fire station belongs in what is largely a residential neighborhood. Administration says several sites were evaluated before selecting part of the former St. Ursula School property for a new fire station.
My concern is it's now coming up on Monday. This is the first I've heard of it, and the first residents of the city have heard of it. Councillor Amy Finn says she's concerned the proposed site is surrounded by single-family homes and questions whether other locations were fully considered. I want answered on the fire master plan why it states Richmond Street between William and Bloomfield is the recommended area. It does not need to be in a residential area.
I'm not thrilled with the idea of being woke up by sirens. Or my children.
Nearby resident Tanya Burgoon worries the fire station would change the neighborhood.
The noise is an issue. Also, the extra traffic is not a thrilling thing.
While the relocation lines up with plans to move the Civic Centre into the new community hub in early 2028, administration says replacing Fire Station Number 1 has been part of the municipality's fire master plan since 2024 because the existing station no longer meets operational needs. But retired Chatham-Kent firefighter Mike Myers believes relocating the aging downtown station makes operational sense.
It's in a bad area. We've always had an issue with the tracks down there at Richmond. So at least here they're on the right track to serving this end of town.
If approved in the future, the new fire hall would occupy part of the former St. Ursula property, while the remaining land could be redeveloped for affordable and market housing. Administration is also proposing to convert the former Children's Treatment Center into a community safety center, bringing together fire administration, police services, paramedicine, and emergency management under one roof.
I think it's a good idea. I do believe that we're in the right spot, and I think if it's built correctly, you'll have a good area and the public here will be safe and they'll have good coverage.
No construction budget has been identified yet. Administration is expected to return with more detailed plans after Council considers the next steps. Council is expected to consider the report Monday night. Additional reports on the proposed fire station, including planning and preliminary design work, are expected later this year. And CTV News will continue to follow this project as those plans move forward. Travis?
Thanks very much, Chris. The town of LaSalle is looking to tackle a growing problem beneath the surface at the Volmer complex. The Volmer Sports Field Complex, that's what it's called. Staff found widespread grub damage in several soccer fields during a recent investigation. The beetle larvae feed on grass roots, leaving behind brown patches and soft, unstable turf. To keep the fields playable, the town has adjusted field schedules and is increasing seeding efforts. But Mayor Crystal Malash says those measures only manage the short-term impacts and won't solve the infestation. Council is being asked to approve $35,000 from the town's tax stabilization reserve to begin a multi-year treatment plan.
The big part of it is when we apply this to the fields, we have to make sure that it's wet outside. That's how this product works best. So timing it is very important. So that's why we look at spring and fall for application.
If Council approves, the first treatment would begin in September. Additional funding requests are expected as part of the 2027 budget deliberations. Amherstburg is moving to opt out of Ontario's new Bring Your Own Alcohol permit framework for community events. A report heading to Council Monday recommends continuing to require special occasion permits issued by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission for any event serving alcohol. Administration says the province's new rules create greater liability risks, could make it harder to enforce intoxication and underage drinking rules. Councillor Lyndon Crane agrees, saying the current permit process already includes safeguards like insurance and SmartServe requirements and reduce the town's liability. He says local business owners are worried that allowing people to bring their own alcohol could hurt licensed restaurants and nearby breweries. Council meets Monday evening to consider the recommendation. Now let's talk beaches. The weekly beach report is out. One local beach is closed and another has a warning about water quality. The Windsor-Essex County Health Unit has closed Holiday Beach due to very high levels of E. coli in the water, and a warning has been posted at Colchester Beach. The health unit says the bacteria counts at Colchester Beach are at almost 250 and warns swimming in that water could pose a risk to your health. We want to hear from you. Do you have a comment or question? Text us at 10400. And still ahead on Windsor's News Leader, if you've purchased beef within the last decade, you may soon be eligible for a payment. Proposed settlements worth $8 million have been reached in class action lawsuits. They started in Windsor and for 35 years went on to rock the world. Later, the hometown honor bestowed on the Tea Party. Monday, rental, licensing, methadone clinics, and questions around e-bike rules, all on the agenda when City Council next gets together. That's Monday at 6 on CTV News. Canada used to be the top export market for American wines, but in the face of provincial booze bans, the market share dropped significantly. And as CTV's Abigail Bimman reports, While U.S. lawmakers are ramping up calls to drop the bans, Canadian booze sellers want premiers to stand firm.
Thanks to the ban on American booze, Ontario's Westcott Vineyards is expanding, and liquor store sales have jumped 600%.
We are leaning into this and expect our business to continue to grow, whether those products come back or not.
Owner Carolyn Hurst is happy to keep the ban in place and wants premiers to stand their ground.
It's been incredibly effective for small producers like us. Every dollar that's been spent on an Ontario wine and on a Westcott wine has gone right back into the province of Ontario.
There are new pushes from American lawmakers to get rid of the ban. California Senator Adam Schiff posted it's causing devastating harm. He sent this letter to Quebec's premier asking her to rescind it. While New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney launched legislation to investigate Canada for unfair trade practices called the Combating Attacks on Our National Alcoholic Drinks by Allies, or Canada Act.
Just want to get this deal done, and then we'll put that booze back on the shelves.
Ontario has held firm, while Quebec's Premier's office told us in a statement this measure will remain in effect as long as the United States maintains these unjustified tariffs.
Canada is violating our own trade agreement with the Americans.
Former trade advisor to Stephen Harper, Meredith Lilly, believes the provinces overstepped.
I expect that there is a dance happening behind the scenes, and it would be my preference if the provinces took cues from the federal government. It's my hope that the federal government is seeking to get them back on the shelves.
Lilly says the ban is a tricky situation to unwind. Ottawa can't publicly call for it to be removed if the premiers hold firm. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Multiple beef companies are alleged to have taken part in an unlawful conspiracy. As CTV's Adrian Gobriel tells us, the class action is asking for the, quote, extra money the companies received to be returned.
An allegation that's been tough for Canadians to digest.
Premium Canadian
Wholesale beef giants JBS and National Beef have been accused of price fixing, driving up the cost of red meat in Canada. While not an admission of guilt, combined, the two companies have offered to pony up $8 million as part of a class action lawsuit settlement. Restaurants won't be able to cash in on the lawsuit, though Canadian consumers can, as will butcher shops who purchase beef for resale. Inside a last meat market in Toronto, they sell JBS beef. Owner George Laganis praises the quality of their cuts, though he admits allegations that one of his suppliers may have taken part in price fixing has been difficult for consumers to stomach.
It leaves a bad taste in customers' mouths because we see a large increase in prices quickly.
As part of the settlement agreement, JBS has agreed to pay out more than $7 million. National Beef has committed to forking over $495,000. The amount individual Canadians can expect has yet to be determined. Even though JBS has agreed to pay out millions, an email from a company spokesperson says in part, "We believe the claims are without merit, and the agreement was entered into solely to avoid the expense and uncertainty of prolonged litigation." Laganis says he'd rather see more regulations limiting the price that large wholesalers can charge for red meat.
They're going to pay out to $7.5 million. Great, everybody's going to be happy. Where's that going to come from? It's going to come from the customer's pocket again. So it's just a vicious circle.
For Canadians who want to add their names to the class action lawsuit, the courts are expected to approve a payment process in the months ahead. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Gas prices rose roughly 5 cents a litre overnight amid the renewed violence in the Middle East. Those prices have many Canadians rethinking their summer road trip budgets. Here's John Valley-Rao.
North of Toronto, motorists headed for cottage country were frustrated the price to fill up has once again gone up.
Of course it's not good. What can we do? There's nothing we can control, right?
Overnight, gas surging about 5 cents a litre.
It's very expensive, but I know that there's issues right now in the world.
For Brian Comart, it's making it more costly to haul his trailer from Chatham, Ontario to Algonquin Park.
I bet you the whole trip's going to be the $400 of gas. Easy.
Across the country, prices were up, back to nearly $2 in Vancouver for regular unleaded, while the national average is around $1.72. And if you thought the resumption of hostilities between the U.S. and Iran this week will push prices up further, forecaster Dan McTagg says they're actually headed down this weekend.
It's dropping 2 cents a litre on Saturday and likely 3 or 4 cents a litre on Sunday. That's counterintuitive to economic fundamentals. A shortage and high demand means prices go up, not down.
In fact, the price for oil hasn't jumped as much as one might have expected. West Texas Intermediate crude started the week at $69 U.S. a barrel and did surge to $76 after the U.S. president declared the ceasefire was over, but it's since fallen to around $71. Experts say the market so far has essentially learned to shrug off the conflict.
I think the new normal is that we're going to see skirmishes from time to time between Iran and the U.S., interspersed with periods of relative calm, allowing tankers to enter the Persian Gulf, load crude oil, and then depart.
But McTagg thinks prices could jump by the end of the month as the U.S. continues to draw down on its strategic reserve of oil.
We might be getting temporarily a reprieve in the short term, but the long term will be higher prices for an extended period of time.
And there is one more wild card, the hurricane season. Experts say if a major storm were to hit U.S. refineries on the Gulf Coast, that would put further price pressure at the pumps here. John Valley-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
For most people, summer festivals mean music, food, and a weekend away, but behind the gates, they're also a major hiring machine. Unemployment dipped in June as more young people found work. CTV's Maria Saru is at Atlantic Canada's largest outdoor concert with what it takes to staff the summer rush.
Before the headliners hit the stage, the fryers are already hot at the Big Cheese food truck. Owner Stephen Green says there are 8 workers on shift today, feeding a festival crowd from a kitchen on wheels.
Finding reliable staff at times can be a challenge, but we have a very good core group that sticks with us.
They're one part of a much bigger crew powering the Cavendish Beach Music Festival. The workforce includes about 800 people, from full-time staff and seasonal hires to vendors, volunteers, and security. But about half are contractors, and every year organizers say that number grows.
Wanting to give the best experience to people and the best hospitality to people, wanting to make sure our ratios are high to ensure that is happening.
That push to staff comes as the country's summer job market is seeing signs of improvement. New numbers from Statistics Canada show the unemployment rate decreased to 6.5% in June. Employment in accommodation and food services rose by 15,000 jobs. Youth employment was up too, by 33,000 positions. But for teens, it's still tougher than before the pandemic. 16-year-old Eric McPhail knows that firsthand.
I find it was a bit hard to find a job. I tried my best to look around, and I asked my mom to help me find some people, but it was definitely a challenge.
Some festival jobs are still harder to sell, like the later shifts when the main acts are on. But repeat staff and word of mouth helps fill the roster. The festival runs through Saturday, and while the crowds come for the show, for many workers here, it's another payday in PEI's peak season. Maria Saru, CTV News, Cavendish, Prince Edward Island.
North American markets closed out the week with gains today. In Toronto, the TSX gained 105 points, and in New York, the Dow added 150 and the Nasdaq is up 73. The Canadian dollar gained 0.1 cent today, and on commodity markets, gold fell more than $27 an ounce and oil lost 67 cents a barrel. Coming up, rice is a kitchen staple, but a new investigation is raising concerns about arsenic levels hiding in some products.
Thank you, Michael Rione, for sending in this great stormy, cloudy image. Could we see some storm clouds tonight, maybe even for Saturday? I'll break down what you need to know. The weekend is here. Yes, it has started. Friday is the beginning of the weekend. Sunday's the first day of next week, and it's going to warm up. All of it coming up next on CTV News Windsor.
Quite gray out there earlier today, and Gary, it's possible we could see some of those clouds turn to storm clouds.
You're right. Isolated thunderstorms have been seen and have moved through parts of extreme southwestern Ontario. Most of the cells that I was tracking earlier in the afternoon were over U.S. territory, so the worst of that has certainly passed us by. There's still about a 40 to 60% chance between now and about 8-9 p.m. of some isolated showers and thunderstorm activity. Today's high, 29. Air quality has improved. We're now in the green zone, so the lower the number, the better. 3 on a scale of 1 to 10 on the air quality index. Holding at temperatures close to 26 degrees in and around Chatham, Kent. That's 79 degrees Fahrenheit, 28 or 82 in Windsor. At the airport, Humidex value is 35 in Windsor. Chatham, Kent, 34. We've been in the mid to upper 30s today, so it's been a muggy day. It's warm in southern Ontario, warm across the prairies, warm across the Canadian Shield, due east to mildly warm and comfortable on the east and west coasts of our great nation. We're still looking at residual effects. The passage of the front has put down significant rain anywhere from Illinois east to Pennsylvania, now New Jersey. And that's good news, sliding a little bit further south of Lake Erie. Good riddance. Meanwhile, partly cloudy conditions through the overnight. That's the story there. Again, isolated showers could mean anywhere from about 5 to 10 millimeters of rainfall between Windsor, Essex, Chatham, Kent, and London. Some models have most of that rain actually falling closer to our friends in Brantford, Ontario, Hamilton, and areas a little bit further east, maybe even Fort Erie. Okay, so tonight, we're looking at 25 degrees, slight risk of showers through 8 o'clock, partly cloudy through 10 and midnight. By midnight, we're looking at 20 degrees, feeling like 27, very much a summer night and early morning. Take a look at our Enercare Styles 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, 28 degrees, mostly cloudy, slight chance of showers and or thunder showers in the afternoon, 29 and sunny on Sunday. 32 on Monday, sunny. Tuesday, sunny, 34. And fair Wednesday, 33 before showers and clouds. Thursday, Friday, 30 both days. That's a look at your weather this hour.
Rice is a popular meal and lunch and dinner staple in many countries around the world. A new food safety investigation finds some rice products can contain concerning levels of arsenic, a potentially dangerous heavy metal. Here's CTV's Pat Foran.
From sushi to stir-fry to simple sides, we eat a lot of rice. But Consumer Reports says rice can carry a risk. Inorganic arsenic, a dangerous form of a heavy metal and known carcinogen.
Inorganic arsenic especially is associated with some serious health effects. We know that it's associated with skin cancer, bladder cancer, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular effects.
Consumer Reports bought 52 rice products from store shelves, then sent them to a specialized lab for testing.
We detected measurable levels of arsenic, and specifically inorganic arsenic, in every sample of rice that we tested.
The levels vary. For example, brown rice in general has more inorganic arsenic than white rice of the same type. Basmati and sushi rice tend to have less arsenic than other types. And more than 40% of the tested products had enough arsenic that eating just one serving a day over time could raise the risk of cancer and type 2 diabetes. Several brands like Lundberg and Whole Foods told Consumer Reports they test for heavy metals, but many other companies didn't respond. According to Health Canada, the concentrations of arsenic in foods sold in Canada are low and have been stable for many years. However, it says to reduce exposure to arsenic, you should eat a variety of healthy foods each day, vary the types of whole grains in your diet, and cook rice in extra water, drain the rice, and throw out the cooking water. Consumer Reports agrees and says you should cook rice in extra water for 5 minutes, then drain it and finish it in fresh water, as this can significantly reduce arsenic levels. Bottom line, don't overeat rice. Use different sides from time to time, including quinoa and oats, which tests show are lower in arsenic. And when choosing rice, consider lower arsenic varieties like basmati and sushi. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Bruce Power officials say they are rapidly expanding their production of medical isotopes. As CTV's Scott Miller reports, it's not for the primary purpose for a nuclear energy facility, but it's becoming an increasingly significant aspect of day-to-day operations.
24 hours a day, Bruce Power is covering about 30% of Ontario's electricity needs. But on an almost weekly basis, they may be doing something even more important.
It's quite a feeling to be able to produce a product. It's a cancer-fighting product. We also like to say that we produce hope here as well.
For 35 years, Bruce Power has been carefully inserting aluminum targets like these into their nuclear reactors to become irradiated and transformed into medical isotopes. In the late 80s, they started producing cobalt-60 used to sterilize medical equipment.
We would easily be a third of the world's cobalt-60, so very large. When you look at Canada, between Bruce and Pickering, we're easily 70–80% of the world's cobalt-60.
40% of the world's single-use medical equipment is now sterilized by cobalt-60 produced at the Kincardine Area Nuclear Plant. Seeing a worldwide shortage looming a few years ago, Bruce Power decided to start producing another kind of medical isotope called lutetium-177. It's used to treat prostate cancer, with 200 clinical trials underway to expand its use for lung and breast cancer as well. Bruce Power is the first and only commercial nuclear facility in the world producing lutetium.
Typically, short-lived medical isotopes were made with research reactors that didn't have the same degree of reliability or the long life that these units do. So we've really changed the game.
Since 2022, when they started, Bruce Power has twice doubled their production capability of lutetium, now producing about 1/3 of the world's supply of the cancer-fighting medical isotope.
And hopefully things continue to expand from there.
Currently, the isotopes harvested from Bruce Power's reactors are shipped to Germany for final processing, but that will change soon, as at least some isotope processing will happen right at the Bruce Power site with the introduction of a hot cell facility, a way to at least partly repatriate isotope production.
This is a strategic component to, I think, long-term energy security around the world. We cannot let medical isotopes be a geopolitical weapon.
Skoniak says it costs about $200 million to build and implement Bruce Power's entire isotope production system. A drop in the bucket, considering a single nuclear reactor costs upwards of $10 billion to build.
I always say that isotopes may only be 1% of our cash flow, but they're 50% of the contribution we make.
In Bruce County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
A tiny pest can do big damage. Coming up, how tree borers could threaten your backyard fruit trees and what signs to watch for. The cleanup continues in Alberta after a pair of tornadoes touched down Wednesday. One twister hit a campground, sending 3 people to hospital. 2 terrifying tornadoes struck Dilbury Lake Provincial Park east of Edmonton and the nearby village of Paradise Valley. There was significant damage to the Dilbury campground. 3 people were taken to hospital, 1 seriously injured. Emergency responders from Alberta, Saskatchewan, and BC rushed to the scene.
In this case, it was actually 2 different supercell thunderstorms that generated 2 different tornadoes. So yeah, it was, and there may be more. These are the ones that we know about at this point.
The Northern Tornado Project says there have been 46 tornadoes this year in the Prairie provinces, already exceeding the average of 34 per year. 2 out-of-control wildfires burning near Boston Bar, BC are threatening homes in the area as firefighters scramble to get the upper hand. The size of the Brunswick Creek and Ainsley Creek wildfires is about 180 square kilometers combined, and both remain out of control. Hundreds of properties are under evacuation order. Hundreds more are on alert as residents fear the worst.
I don't know when I'll be able to go back, or if my house will even be standing, or if my pet will be okay.
Really understand it, I don't think, until you're close to it, and you could literally lose everything you have. So that gets a little more real.
The two fires burning on opposite sides of the Fraser River are fueled by steep, rugged terrain that continues to challenge firefighters. Some homes and other structures have been damaged or destroyed, including several buildings at Blue Lake Resort. Wildfire officials say many areas remain inaccessible, making it impossible to determine the full extent of the losses. Quebec is cracking down on Ontario truckers trying to get a license to work in the province. As CTV's Sweeta Rassi reports, it comes after an Ontario Auditor General report identified gaps in training for truck drivers.
Ontario truck drivers who have had their Class 1 or trucker's license for less than 2 years will now have to pass a road test before they can get a Quebec license. That's according to the SAAQ, Quebec's Auto Insurance Board. If they fail twice, they would be required to complete mandatory training.
Students were not taught key elements.
This measure comes after Ontario's Auditor General found the province is not effectively monitoring training and licensing programs, raising concerns about qualified drivers on the road. The SAAQ estimates that 375 Ontario drivers make the jump to Quebec each year. And it's concerned. Its data shows more than 25% of deaths that occurred on Quebec roads last year involved a truck.
We have seen an increase in trucks involved in deadly accidents here in Quebec in the last year and the previous year. So we're taking this seriously. No one likes to see people die on the street.
A public inquiry is also underway following a deadly crash in Boucherville that killed a 34-year-old mother and her 5-year-old son. The Quebec Trucking Association says the measure is a good step, but President Marc Cadieux would like to see more.
I've insisted that there will be to be put more hours on control and enforcement on the Quebec roads. That will be a clear message.
The government calls the new road test a temporary measure, one it says will stay in place until Ontario proves it's tightened its own standards. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News.
Sandy McDonald joins me again. We're at Jackson Park, and we are looking at this topic. It's very interesting to see what borers can do to plant life, in particular this cherry tree. Talk to us about this invasion, if you will.
And this is something that a number of gardeners may run into, and particularly with a group of trees. So if you grow your own cherries, apricots, plums, even the ornamental trees too, Japanese flowering cherries, ornamental peach blossom, pear blossom, they are all susceptible to borers. Typically they're called peach tree borers, though there are a couple of other ones. And it's an insect which actually bores into the trunk of the plant and goes underneath the bark and feeds there, and it interrupts the flow of nutrition within the tree.
We're seeing a lot of tree death here with this cherry tree.
And this one actually is a native tree, a pin cherry, sometimes called a bird cherry. So it's not a large fruit. We have some images that we took of this earlier as well. They tend to be short-lived, particularly because of the borers as well. So on this particular one, there are some major trunks that have died and some that are actually in the throes of death right now. And there's symptoms on the tree trunk as well. We've seen gummosis, which is this golden, somewhat now hardening exudate from the tree. And this is very much a sign of the borers being present. The tree's trying to protect itself by exuding this gum-like material out, and also cracking in the trunk as well too. Sometimes you'll see small entry holes. Sometimes you might see a little bit of sawdust material coming out, which is mixed with the feces of the insect. So we should be on the lookout for those cracks, for that golden or orangey yellow gummosis. It could be soft or hardened. And even as well too, sometimes we'll find holes within the tree. It often results in the death of the tree.
As always, thank you for your expertise. We will join you next week with another edition of Get Gardening.
All right, it's almost time to check in on what's happening now with Melanie Kentner. Mel, what's going on today?
Well, we'll have details on the Freedom Walk and where it will be going in Windsor, Essex, coming up.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee John Fogerty is set to rock the Coliseum stage on the Legacy Tour August 20th. Enter at ctvwindsor.ca for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to see John Fogerty at Caesars Windsor, plus a $200 gift card.
This This is your CTV Windsor Our Community Calendar. The Amherstburg Art Crawl returns this weekend, transforming the historic streets of downtown Amherstburg into a vibrant celebration of art, creativity, and community. See you next time on Our Community.
All right, welcome back. Melanie, a modern-day journey is retracing the Underground Railroad, and it's making its way through Windsor, Essex this week.
That's right. The Freedom Walk 2026 tour honors freedom seekers and abolitionists who helped enslaved people escape to Canada. Historian Anthony Cohen is leading the walk, repeating a 750-mile journey he first made 30 years ago from Maryland through the Niagara Falls border to southwestern Ontario. A 9-foot bronze sculpture called Journey to Freedom will be on display at local events. The tour stops on Saturday at the John Freeman Walls Historic Site, Sandwich First Baptist Church, and the Amherstburg Freedom Museum. All events are free and open to the public. We've got those details online at ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And we've also got a story online, Melanie, about a new program launching in Lakeshore.
Yeah, so the town is starting a junior park ranger program. It's a free summer program that gives kids and youth the chance to explore local parks through games, guided discovery, and outdoor learning. Drop-in sessions are open for kids ages 5 to 14, and it will run from 6 to 7 p.m. on several dates throughout July and August. Space is limited, so pre-registration is encouraged and available online. And in our social spotlight, forget birdies and bogeys. One golf course had a police chase across the links.
Holy, he's coming right at us.
Video shows a suspect leading a police chase right through an Ohio golf course. Police say the chase lasted about 10 minutes, but the driver of the van, who has been accused of attempted murder, had been on the run for hours. The chase came to an end when the van plowed into a patrol vehicle. The suspect eventually was apprehended.
Wow, that's an eventful game of golf. I mean, nobody's score would matter after that, right? Because
Yeah,
that's
no
all you're going to be talking about.
Yeah, and thankfully no one was seriously hurt, but whew, what a day.
I don't think that anything like that has happened during any local golf games, but if it did and people got it on video, they could send it to us, right?
Yeah, hopefully they would email us at newsnow@bellmedia.ca or text it to 10400.
Thank you, and that's what's happening now. From local bar stages to international fame, Windsor's own The Tea Party is getting the keys to the city. That's next. More gray skies out there this morning. Hopefully that's not what it's going to look like this weekend, is it?
Well, in part. I think the worst of it has passed us. There's just a slight risk of scattered showers and thunderstorms through to about 9 p.m., then partly cloudy conditions, and then again the same daytime heating effects. That cycle repeats itself for tomorrow. Enough instability that we could see a passing shower, maybe even a thunder shower or two. A high of 28, feels like 34. UV index is high. It was 8 today, even though it was mostly cloudy. So the sun does penetrate those clouds. Some of that energy does reach the surface. And speaking of energy, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will go from 29 to about 34 and then cool off to about 30 a week from now. It will be a sunny Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and possibly Wednesday.
I like that. You need sunscreen, you need water, and it sounds, that's a little too warm actually, but we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. I'll take it.
I think so.
Don't worry. I appreciate it. And I know you know this band, Gary. 35 years after getting its start in Windsor, Essex, the Tea Party has picked up one more honor to add to its trophy case, the keys to the city of Windsor. Windsor officially honored the hometown band Friday during a special ceremony at Rocket Innovation Studio, the former Coach and Horses, where the group first built its following. Formed in 1990, the band has gone on to sell nearly 3 million albums worldwide, earning multiple platinum and gold records and taking its music to audiences across the globe. After selling out venues across Canada and performing with a 50-piece orchestra at the Sydney Opera House, the Tea Party is happy to be recognized where it all began.
We're Windsor boys at heart, and just traveling the world representing Windsor as the Tea Party, it's just great to come home and know the city has our back and just recognizes us. It's just really warm feeling inside for us, I think.
Next up, we'll get you the key to the city.
Oh.
And then you have to let me know what that unlocks. I don't know what that key does.
Well, wouldn't I be honored? That would be a thrill. But I met the guys, and we're all about the same age, and so I do remember them being in university and then just exploding on the scene. So Jeff, and Stuart are now immortalized, which is fantastic.
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot of hometown pride around those guys.
Yeah.
On behalf of your dedicated team here at CTV News Windsor, thank you for watching.
For updates throughout the evening, go to ctvnewswindsor.ca.
Gary and I will be back with your only late local newscast at 11.
We'll see you then.